I cannot tell you how delighted I am to welcome Mr. and Mrs. Bye.
Hello.
Now, Victoria, it's not that I don't love you. Okay. We've just met and I love you.
Yes.
I love Martin, but Martin's not there anymore.
I know.
Okay, right, here's the thing. I've never missed an episode of EastEnders, even though I'm 33. It's been going 40 years, so I'm not really 33.
You missed
I started
the first
watching it
few
at
years.
-7. But congratulations on the most extraordinary episode, I think, will go down in history of EastEnders.
Thank you. Yeah, it was very special, and you know, it's for me, it was something that I just felt like truly honoured to be a part of. You know, regardless of the outcome. You know, it was an amazing episode and a proper team effort. You know, so yeah, I think you're right. I think it will be something that EastEnders will, you know, be proud of forever. It was a hell of an episode.
Oh, it's there in the handful of episodes that people will talk about for years and years and years and never ever forget about.
Yeah.
And we had no idea. So I was on Morning Live, and after the first bit where I live on air, I kept saying, "No, they can't. He can't. Please no, please no, please no." And I was saying that. I got so many messages, people saying, "Don't worry, we're on your side. He's got to survive."
Yeah.
It was obviously, Victoria, you knew all about this, and you all had to keep quiet. And as you know, James, I've got friends who were in the show. None of them told me. If I'd known about that, I would have come outside and I would have gone on strike and sit down strike.
Well,
I was so upset. I cried.
Yeah,
I
no,
did
bless.
cry.
And look, and the reaction seems to be, you know, across
People
across
had to
the.
take time off work. There was like self-help groups, and we got pictures of people having memorial services for him. It was huge.
Yeah, it was huge. But listen, the silver lining is it was an amazing story. You don't get that sort of reaction unless there's, you know, some form of sacrifice. And obviously it's something that I was happy to do. It's something that we'd agreed, you know, the producers.
You knew for a while.
I'd known, and it was, and you know, I was super excited about doing it, and obviously to get to do those final scenes with Lacey, obviously like my bestest friend on the show, and we've been through so much as, you know, on screen, off screen. It was just the right time, and it was the right story, and I think it was, well, I mean, like you say, the reaction sort of says it all, really, and
But I think because it was live, like you said, even though we knew, I think both of us still couldn't believe it was actually happening.
Did you watch it?
Well, so I was on set with him, so it was just
Victoria, you were actually there.
Yeah, so
and I
I
still
said,
couldn't believe it was happening.
I asked the show, and I was like, listen, like after everything, you know, after this live episode, like I need Victoria near me. The minute it's cut, I need to know that she's near me. Which was a sacrifice because it was actually our son's birthday as well.
Yeah,
but bless him, by the time that went out, he would have been in bed anyway.
So
it was
2000.
Yeah, so many.
I'm not sure. Whose was it?
So it was our 6
It was one of them.
But
yeah.
And you poured so much into it, you just knew you were going to be emotional. And
and listen, and anything like that, I mean, that's something, you know, that I'll probably never get to do again.
Yeah.
In you know, in that sort of, you know,
on that scale.
So I knew
when you're James Bond, it'll be, you know.
Well, there was a petition. There was a petition going around. Doctor Who, James Bond. We just talked about this. Mr. Darcy. Got that one.
You got that one, which we will talk about.
Yeah. So
you're right. There won't be anything of that like that again.
No. So it was absolutely. I was adamant, and they were brilliant in the show. And I said, look, I need Victoria there. And they were like, do you want her to be on the floor? And I was like, that might be a bit too much, you know, because it was a tiny little studio that we were in. Just me, Lacey, the obviously the essays and the guest artists.
Essay for people.
Supporting artists. Yeah. And then we obviously had the crew, and it was a tiny little studio. And I just thought it'd probably be a bit much for Victoria. Do you know what I mean?
I was in a little caravan outside, just waiting.
Caravans are your life, which we'll talk about in a moment. You know caravans.
We do.
You know caravans very well.
Do.
So you were just outside in a caravan.
Outside, and then the security said to me, do you want to go in? And I said, no, I don't think he wants me right there to watch him, because it was such a raw moment, and because it was live, the added pressure.
Were you nervous as well?
Oh my God, I was terrified. And I knew what was happening, and I wasn't even doing anything. I was just sat backstage drinking a glass of Prosecco to calm my nerves.
Oh, I love that.
And but yeah, I was terrified for him.
Were you nervous, or you just went with it?
Yes, I know. So, it's funny when you're in that situation, because there's that fight or flight kicks in at a certain point. So we'd rehearsed it for a couple of weeks. So Lace and I knew, like, not how amazing it was, because I don't mean it like that, but it was written beautifully by Lauren Clee.
Powerful.
It was directed incredibly by Lance Neeshaw. So we sort of knew that all we had to do is say the lines in the right order, and the audience would go. It would have an effect. We didn't quite know the effect. So leading up to it, we were nervous, but I think we sort of. Like, I know her inside out. I know what
She'd just come back from having.
She was, I think, 5 weeks, something like that. So she had a baby, and we'd shot all the stuff while she was heavily pregnant. With the Vic falling down on us. So we'd been through a lot leading up to it, and it was that moment where you sort of. And then we held each other's hands throughout the whole live, and it was very much like a team effort. Almost like from the beginning. Like when I first joined, I had to screen test with Lace, and Julia Crampsey, who was the casting director at the time, put us in a room and like cleverly went, "We'll just leave you for a second while we just sort some scripts out." We were in there for 45 minutes, the two of us just chatting before we even did a screen test. So I felt like I knew her straight away, and she's a huge part of our lives.
Yeah,
and she's one of the. She's Hugo's, funny enough.
Yeah,
his
Hugo's
godmother, and
her chickens as well.
Oh yeah, exactly. She brings me the eggs in, and the spring onions. She keeps us fed.
Yeah, they're lovely spring onions.
Massive, ridiculous. I wonder what she puts in that soil, because I've never seen spring onions like it.
Another career waiting for her as a farmer.
Yeah.
But no, she's lovely, and they've been part of our lives for so long. So
yeah,
I think for her, I mean, when it was funny because at the end, James, you were quite together. You weren't tearful, but when me and Lacey saw each other, we both just burst out.
Well, the hilarious thing was Victoria walked in, and of course, like I said, because as you rightly said, you don't know the reaction when you're doing it live. You just like, well, we've done it. No one messed up. Everything sort of seemed to go to plan. And then Victoria walked in, and I looked at Victoria, and she was just deadpan, like complete. And I was like, oh, couldn't have been that good then, because I thought you'd be emotional. And I've turned around and I've talked to one of the crew or whatever, and then I've looked back and Lacey and Victoria are just hugging, and I've never seen two women cry with such intensity. And I was like, it was a little bit of as much as I didn't want to see.
I hold it together for you when I walked in, like, okay, just smile, it all went well. And then I saw Lacey and just couldn't stop.
But you must have felt emotional after that then.
Yeah, of course, yeah, because it was almost like, as much as I didn't want to see my wife in tears, there was a sort of a moment of relief where I was like, oh, phew. So it did hit a nerve. And then obviously then it was an emotional night. We put a lot of stuff on Instagram of like the party after where, I sort of used that as my leaving do as well. So everyone turned up, and it was a really nice evening, but I got to like hug all the Martin's wives and James's wife. I think I had you, Nat, Louisa, Lacey, all just like in a big huddle.
Has many wives.
But lovely, lovely girls. I mean,
just incredible, all of them.
But what worked so well, actually, the storyline that you had throughout just was never. It never hit, and you thought, why are they doing that? Just that's a huge compliment to you as the character, because you were very, very, very much loved. But also the way, you got Lacey and Natalie, two people I know. I mean, Natalie I know very well. You just going to play. It's not going to work.
No, it's not.
Loved
it's
it.
really
Such
not.
a giggle. And,
well, Dom Treble Collins, he obviously we know Dom very well, and he was the one who facilitated that relationship. And I remember the next exec coming in going, that was a masterstroke putting Stacey and Martin together, because you'd never normally have seen them together, like from previous, when James Alexander used to play. I don't think they really had much to do together.
You were the Ross and Rachel of
that's how we used to. That's how Lace and I used to call it, like the Ross and Rachel of EastEnders.
We so wanted you to be back. I was so.
I know.
That's why I just couldn't believe it was happening. It was like, oh, they're going to get back together. They're going to get back together. They're going to. He's dead.
Well,
it was just, and I kept thinking it's going to be a show. Do you watch it now?
We tune in when we can, but like, to be honest, with 4 kids, 2 dogs, and we're fighting Netflix, Disney Plus, all the others.
It's also weird because obviously it's the funeral and everything at the moment, which is really hard to watch because we can't really bring ourselves to watch the end of Martin. We sort of said goodbye to him. And then to watch it all play out on screen and see everybody
don't watch it
crying.
Well, I find it super weird because obviously, the art department have messaged me going, "Can you send us any pictures of me, not Martin, of James. And I'm like, well, that's odd. You're going to put pictures of me, like cut Victoria and the kids out and just have me like in the show on top of the coffin.
That's so weird.
So I was like...
They must have pictures. Hello.
I know.
They've got enough pictures of you.
There's enough pictures of him stood in front of that fruit and veg stall to last a
no,
lifetime.
exactly. So I think that sort of hit a chord, and I was like, you know what? I don't think we've
done it. You've left.
We've done the hard bit.
Draw a line, and I think
Lacey messages me most days, like with pictures of her on set crying, even now, and I'm like,
do you know? It's going to go with you forever. In the same way that obviously Angie's character, and then seeing her on the 40th, seeing Anita Dobson, that floored me as well.
Yeah.
That's made me cry.
Yeah.
Well,
that's lovely, lovely Angie. But it will stay with you, and actually celebrate that, because you really were brilliant. You were so loved, and Dom Treadwell Collins, as you know, is a very dear friend. I love him dearly, and I'm very pleased he brought you on board, as I'm sure you all are. But now you're on to the next thing. So
that's it.
Doof, 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 doof. And no more doofs. I only gave you 4 there.
Well,
and there are 9.
Until the shower scene, like from Dallas, when he comes back in 20 years.
No, you can't. No, they've done it with Cindy.
We definitely can't do that. I've done my time. I've loved it every minute. Like I say, we thank the people that got us involved, but I've done my time.
You really have.
Yes,
you really have.
And I feel like I've sort of did everything I needed to do on that show.
And did Strictly during it as well.
And did Strictly, which obviously you wouldn't have ever got that opportunity had I not, and met some amazing people. But like you say, we move on to the next chapter and
Mr. Darcy.
You know, what the hell am I doing?
Well, you would.
Well, I think he's all right, you know.
I know. No, but it's your favourite book, though, isn't it?
Yeah,
Pride and Prejudice.
definitely.
After Matilda.
I mean, who doesn't fancy Mr. Darcy?
Everybody.
Come on, he's like the ultimate sexy
man. So you're going
man.
on tour. So it's May to September. You're on tour.
So we're at the Mill. At the Mill at Sonning, which
But the whole time.
Yes, we're there for 2 months and then we move. So sorry.
All right, okay.
No, what it is, Gabby, I'm trying to get my head around it myself. So I'm at the Mill for 2 months. That's right.
Yeah, and then you have a bit of a break.
Little break, and then we go on tour, and we're at places like Richmond and Guildford, and then we go to Cardiff and Bath.
Windsor.
Gorgeous theatres. You know what I mean? We're very, very lucky that.
And you're playing Mr. Darcy.
And I'm Mr. Darcy, and all I keep getting asked is, am I going to come on with a wet shirt?
Wet shirt.
I think I have to take my water pistol with me.
That's so funny.
Maybe we'll do that.
How are you going to do all of this with 4,000 children as well, and living? This caravan thing.
Yes.
Okay. So alongside the fact that you did the live EastEnders, that's now gone. Alongside the fact that you are going to be one day going to be James Bond and Doctor Who, that's lovely.
Obviously.
Why not?
And you are Mr. Darcy, which is fantastic. I'm so looking forward to seeing that.
Oh.
But you're living in a caravan and making a house. You're building a house, making a house.
Yeah. So
you're out of paper.
We just thought this year, it's something we've wanted to do for a long time. And because we knew this year was going to be our year for change, that's what we kept calling it. We're like, everything's changed. He's been trying to talk me out of this for months. I was like, this is it. This is what we've been waiting for. Let's build our own house. You're going to have a bit of time off.
That's not much.
He's very handy with a hammer and a screwdriver.
You're building it, not yourself.
Well, so the dream is for me to do the majority of the work. Obviously, there are things like legally and like building regulations that I can't do.
But yeah, I mean, we've seen you on Instagram.
Yeah.
And you're both of you in your joint account. But I didn't think you'd actually build a real house.
Yeah. We're going for it, Gabby. We are. We just thought, you know what, funnily enough, my parents built their own house. James's parents built their own house. James's sister was conceived in a caravan. I'm sure she wouldn't want me to say that, but she was.
No, it's true.
And so we decided, you know what? For us, it's such a precious childhood memory, and we want the boys to have that same thing, knowing that their parents and them have created something.
Yeah.
It might not be, the most
probably
sturdy.
It's probably not the wisest decision for us to do in terms of our mental health.
Yeah.
at this precise time, because obviously I'm about to go and do a play, and we're all going to somehow live in a caravan. I'm not convinced that's the right call, but that's what we're going to try and do.
Camping's fun.
But what is interesting is building your house now is not as boring as it used to be. Like, there's so many different options, so many different avenues that you can go in.
Yeah.
And I think that's sort of what we want to explore,
Yeah,
really. And we're going to document the whole thing, and we're going to put it on. We've got a YouTube channel. We're going to.
This should be on telly. I'm sorry. This should be on telly. Everybody would watch this. Oh, for goodness sake! If anybody's listening, they should put it on telly.
I'm not sure we want to put. I'm only joking. But genuinely, there is something like really interesting. Like even just us researching us for ourselves.
Yeah.
We're like, wow, it's completely changed. Even the foundations of a house no longer have to be on those concrete cement thing. Like there are other ways of keeping your house,
I've watched Grand Designs a few times.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, that's it.
Was it what are really nice, the big things that they keep the trains, what are they called? Those big
Pylon things.
No, the big
viaducts things.
No, the big box things.
Boxes.
The big box things.
You know what I mean?
I know what you're on about. The containing.
Thank
the
you very much.
Yeah.
Well, no, but you say that, and it's absolutely true. Like, because obviously part of it will be, affordable. How trying to do it affordably. We don't want to be going and spending millions of pounds on, because we haven't got millions of pounds. But we want to be able to do something that's also sustainable.
Yeah.
We're looking at getting animals.
Yeah, we're going to have rainwater gullies and solar power.
Good.
And we're going to
They're
have
called
little
gutters, rainwater. I think every house has those.
And we're going to funnel it in. I keep saying this.
You're going to use that for your water.
Yeah, exactly.
And then love the idea of solar panels.
Yeah,
We've got some on our roof.
Love it.
Yeah,
and we're going to have a little vegetable patch, get some chickens, and just try and live
You've got Stacey who can she'll give you the eggs.
Yeah,
she can teach
the lights
us.
on them.
Yeah, that's it. And then we'll be growing mega leeks and
So
how long is this going to take?
Oh, who knows? But we've never done it before, so it could take.
Yeah. We
5
thought the
years.
idea of living in a caravan over the summer would be fun. We camp out every night. We'll have like barbecues, and then
where do you live? I mean, this is the UK we're talking about.
Exactly.
I love your fantasy of having barbecues and being outside. But
I'm definitely a glass half full
Victoria is
kind of girl.
more-
I love that.
James is the realist.
Well, and it is a realist. You say negative. I am a realist.
You are.
Like you say to me, well, you can build it, babe. Like, okay.
I'll paint.
Okay, here's the thing I want to know. You say caravan. Now you do have, I jokingly say 4. You've got 4 boys.
4 boys. 2 blind dogs.
2 of you and the dogs.
Yes.
How big is your caravan?
So we've not actually got it yet. So that's
it's all very much in the plan.
It's in the process. So at the moment we're packing up. We're selling our house.
Yeah.
We're looking for land, and once we find the land, then it will be go time. So hopefully
this should all
this
time
summer.
well with my tour, so that I won't.
So
be
he won't
there.
be here. No. So we're hoping by the end of the summer we'll be in our caravan, ready for our.
You're talking about static caravan. You're not taking the caravan on tour with you.
No, I mean we're not. It will be very much a.
No, I wouldn't survive. The kids need to be away from me while I'm.
We don't really know the caravan market that well. Can you get all right caravans?
I don't have a caravan. And I don't know
That's why we're here, Gabby. We thought
I know. Me and caravans, we're like that. But no, isn't it? You can get them all sorts of sizes. But you don't mean you're going to be schlepping it around.
No, it's not going to be like one of those old ones from the 80s on the Tourer.
I thought that's what you meant.
Jeremy Clarkson.
And we just take it with me on tour. I could just pull up outside the theatre.
I think this could be a thing,
Can you imagine Theatre Royal Bath as a pull up outside with the caravan? We're just going to plod it up here for the week. You love them.
Yeah, just like lowering the dogs out to do the business on the doorstep.
But this is really, I'm joking around with you, but I mean, it's a huge project, but how exciting.
And now's the right sort of time, isn't it? I
just think it's going to be an adventure and like something that the kids will hopefully remember. We may have to turn to the bottle to get us through it.
Yeah.
But no, I think it'll be fun. And
have you always been like this? You're just you're a ray of sunshine, aren't you?
Victoria is.
Well, I am. Yeah, I think I do see the positive in everything, which I think winds James up. It does.
No, it doesn't. I'm incredibly lucky, because I'm naturally not like that. I am definitely like, what is the limit that we can go to? What is the ceiling?
You're like my husband, and we're together. We can go skipping in the street.
But Victoria doesn't have a ceiling, so where I've reached my limit, I'm like, right, babe, that's it. She'll go, what are you talking about? And but listen, if it wasn't Victoria, we wouldn't be living in the house we are in now. We wouldn't have moved. We moved from London to Manchester, back from Manchester to London. But we sort of Victoria gets an itchy foot, and
I have these visions, and then things happen. And
so where are you thinking? Are you back down in the south?
In the south,
yeah,
you're going to build.
Because the kids are at school. We don't want to disrupt that. At the moment.
And my mum and dad moved down from up north to be with us. randomly in
Lovely.
a caravan.
Lovely.
It runs in the family. They moved a caravan on our front drive. We would let them live with us, but they were like, no. We want our own space.
So lovely.
So they lived there while they were house hunting, and so they live down here now.
Surely they can all help. Your family, both families can help you because they've built houses. Can you just get everybody involved?
Well, that's the plan. Both my uncles, one of them's a carpenter, the other one...
Oh, you didn't say that bit.
Yeah.
No.
We got people in the know.
But they're both sort of semi-retired, so neither of them really want to be that involved.
We are going to be pulling some favours, and I'm going to do scatter cushions.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's
all you're giving to the whole
I'll
house.
dot a few candles about.
I love that you're doing this, and I love the way that you look at life. But I mean, obviously, the acting side, you're not going to stop doing that.
No. I mean, I left EastEnders with very much like, let's not chapter 2, but let's go back to and I trained as obviously on the stage, at drama school and stuff. So to go back to that for me is like a bit of a blessing. Really, I can't wait to. I don't know. I feel quite comfortable in that sort of arena. Telly was all new to me, and then we'll just see what happens from there, really. And
James Bond. I mean, I have read online that everybody's putting your name forward for James Bond.
Yeah, I think it's between me and Tom Hardy. So we'll see. No, I don't.
Henry Cavill.
Yeah.
James Barr.
So this is a little story for you. So me and Henry Cavill. Yeah. When I left drama school, we went up. We were the last two. This is what I was told at the time. But his first thing, or one of his first things he did, was called The House of the Tudors. Do you remember that?
Yes, I do.
And we went up for the same part for that.
Wow.
Like, got down.
So you're one step removed from being Superman.
Superman.
Exactly.
Oh, yes.
I mean, Superman, fruit and veg man,
But
very
at the
similar.
time, genuinely, I was gutted because I was perfect for that role. I was like, I was brilliant. I thought my audition was great. And then I found out who got it, and I saw Henry on screen in the show, and I was like, well, no one's got a chance against him. He's not. He shouldn't be allowed to.
No. So will you be? All jokes aside, are you going to just go for everything, or
Absolutely.
you're not going to just say, okay, it's theatre time, it's TV time, it's film time?
We're in, like this industry is the reason I'm part of it. Is you just don't know what's going to happen. Like my mum and dad, it stresses them out because they're like, well, what have you got coming up? And I'm like, well, nothing at the minute.
But that's exciting.
Exactly. And then 24 hours later, I ring them and go, I'm doing a play, by the way. And they're like, why didn't you tell us? And I'm like, because I've just found out. And there is, don't get me wrong, it's not for everyone because
I know.
There's no security. And fortunately, we've got, like Victoria's doing really well, and she's got potentially a book.
Yeah.
Very exciting.
So we're having. So yeah, I mean,
so we've got stuff going on, and I think it's like you say, it's exciting. And you never really
take
know.
it as that.
Yeah,
I'm really one of those people because it's the same industry, and when you're working, there is nothing greater than the job you're doing.
Yeah.
And when you're not, it's the worst job in the world.
Yeah, exactly.
But you have to go through those things.
Yeah.
And you obviously passionately love what you do, don't you?
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm very lucky to have been paid to do this job because I remember as a kid when when I found out you could actually get paid to do it, I was like, what? I used to spend my youth, imitating, mimicking, Rick Mayall and Aid Edmondson in Ottoman.
Can you still do that?
No, I don't think so. I mean, he was on the show. I mean, Aid Edmondson, I got to meet him, and that was, I was like...
He wrote, James had a poster of Bottom that he loved, and he took it in for Aid to sign for him, and we had this vision of having it up in our house, and...
Aid wrote some
the language on it.
I think he does it deliberately. Yeah, I think he does it deliberately.
So now our children can all read that. It's very much had to stay in James's dressing room over the years.
Yeah,
I love that. You've still got it there.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course. Okay.
So you two, now the thing, it's so funny when I was reading about you two, it says everywhere, they met, and 4 years later, they were married. It's really, it says
It was a whirlwind, honestly. We met
How did you meet?
Well, this is sort of part of the next thing.
Yes, that's true. We
part of the next.
No, we brought something for you.
The special.
That's
so
the next. Okay,
so
don't say.
We won't give it away.
Okay.
We won't. We'll
I'll save that for Friday's episode. Okay.
But once we'd met, which we'll fill you in on later, it was a real whirlwind. We moved in. We were living together within 6 months, weren't we? And we were so young, but at the time, we felt so old. I think we were 22.
Yeah,
Wow. Just
super
for
young.
babies,
and a perfect
really,
example of Victoria being the glass half full. She was like, "Let's buy a house," and I was like, "Oh, whoa, let's meet each other's parents first." And I mean, like, what? Anyway, and then 6 months later, we're living in a flat in Battersea.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, "How have you managed
Yeah.
for that?" And I went on my first ever holiday with a girlfriend on my own. Like, I'd never done that because I would never really, I was from Basingstoke, so I don't know, something about that. I was never like flighty. Do you know what I mean? I was just like, I'm quite happy at home. Victoria was like, no, come on, let's go on holiday. And you booked us a flight to Skiathos, didn't we? We went to Skiathos, just the two of us.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh wow, this is all new to me. And then and then
it was it was just really fast whirlwind. And then I convinced him to move up north where I'm from. But then it was sort of over to him because I'm like, well, let's get married. And you have to ask me at some point. So I, screenshotted the pictures of the ring that I wanted and really it took him forever. I set up some perfect moments.
You did not.
No, hang on. It didn't
I love that. So, no, shush.
Go on, you go.
You set up moments.
I was literally like, there was one moment we were outside the pub. It was snowing. There were carol singers. And I'm like, this is the time. Let's go. And he's
You said that to him.
Pretty much.
No, yeah. But you said something like, this would be such a beautiful moment to get.
moment.
And the hilarious thing was, I already had the ring.
Yeah.
The ring was back at
Did you
our
know
house.
that he had the ring?
Well, no. I mean, I sort of had an inkling it was going to happen at some point. So I just kept setting the moments up, thinking, just run home, do this now. But then when it actually happened, you tried about 4 times, didn't you?
Yeah. I tried one time. We were on a holiday, and so Victoria loves being near the water. So anything on water, I think we will probably retire near the coast. Hopefully, when we're older.
Don't ever retire.
Well, when the kids have gone, but so we'd gone on holiday, and I'd found this guy, and I was like, right, I'd hired a boat, and we were going to take Victoria out in the sea and propose, really super romantic. And then Victoria got, and when I say severe food poisoning, to the point where she did not leave the apartment, she didn't leave the bathroom. For 3 or 4 days.
I know, it was
awful.
awful.
No.
And I had to run out, and we were running out of time on the holiday. I had to run out to this guy and try and get my money back, which I got. I think I got half of it back. He took a deposit anyway, and then so we ended up having to go home, didn't we? Flew home
bring
like
the
a few
ring
days.
all the way home.
Did you know that was? Oh my word!
Yeah.
I know.
So this was before the moment that Victoria was talking about Christmas.
So you still had
near
the ring
pub,
in
so
the
I had the
cupboard
ring.
for about 6 months, didn't you? Waiting.
And you hadn't seen the ring.
I hadn't seen the ring. I don't know how.
Yeah.
And the worst thing was when we'd gone through security, he'd had the ring in his pocket and they'd patted him down. They must have seen it on the scanner, but knew that they couldn't say, what's that in your pocket?
My word.
Yeah, there's a few of those moments. And then obviously, because I was so adamant that I wanted to do it by water or on water, because we talk about it so
you have
much.
to have a little theme, don't you?
You had to have a bit of a theme. So it did take months, and obviously at the time I wasn't acting that much. I wasn't earning all that money. I was scaffolding full time to sort of pay the mortgage and stuff. And then we always go away every year to Scotland. So I've been doing it since I was a kid, and we've sort of inherited that, and we take our kids now. And then I was like, that's the moment to do it, because Loch Lomond, I don't know if you've ever been.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
I mean, it is
lovely.
People just don't appreciate how gorgeous Scotland, but I mean, in particularly Loch Lomond is. And when we went, it was the coldest it's ever been. Like the snow was like 2 feet deep, when all the trees were like, when it's so cold that the trees like look like they've got leaves on, they're just white, or it's all gone, it's all frosted. And I was like, I'm going to have to do this now. But it was like -4 or something. So anyway, I took Victoria, and I had this picnic basket, and I was like, which is so characteristic of me. And I thought you'd cottoned on, but I had this big trench coat on, and I said, well, come on, let's go for a little picnic in the snow and stuff. And we like, it just goes along with it. Like, okay. So I walked down, I found this really remote little part right by the loch, like swans were swimming around. I mean, it was, like you couldn't have asked for a better moment.
Yeah.
And then I like pulled my jacket off, and I had a suit and tie on. and
I've got goosebumps.
Yeah, and then so I mean, I felt like it was worth the wait. And then I got down on one knee and proposed.
Did you say yes before he asked?
Oh, yeah, I was
because
ready.
you were so ready.
I was so annoyed that I hadn't had my nails done, though. When you're like, honestly, they were chipped and not.
Oh, you're so lovely.
All the times that I'd set up, and then this moment, I just wasn't expecting it, which was the best way.
Do you know what? You two not only should have your own show about building your house, but why aren't you two hosting a show about other people's
Make it happen.
No, but other people's homes.
Yeah.
Because that would be great. You've done
Homes Under the Hammer.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a really nice thing because obviously they knew I'm into my DIY and I did scaffolding and I got asked to do it and I was like, okay. It felt like quite...
You're going to do some more?
I obviously at the moment with the play,
you can't.
Yeah, but I'd love to. Yeah,
but
I really
you two together.
It. Me and Victoria take over.
I mean, we have lived in some houses. We've
we worked out, didn't we? I think we've lived in 9.
Yeah, quite a few.
We've moved house 9 times.
And how long have you been together now?
Well, actually, coming up to 20 years.
Nearly 20 years.
And you've had 9 properties, and you're now building your 10th.
Exactly.
Yeah,
10th
exactly.
And final.
We'll stop
Hopefully,
at 10.
this will be the
oh, how wonderful!
The forever home now.
Yeah.
Do you know what? I would watch this because you're both so delightful. There should, be more Victoria. I think should be a.
I would love that. I would love to step back and look because Victoria's actually the star, really. I'm more than happy to step
the
back.
two of you together, but I love your attitude to life. More people like you. Break a leg. I won't say GL, but break a leg with the play.
Thank you.
And when it is announced that you're James Bond, of course you'll let me know.
I will give you a commission.
Yeah, that would be great.
You can come in.
And you, just good luck with everything.
you.
And your book.
Yes, I know. My book hopefully will be coming out, and I'm just doing more writing, which is great, which is what I love.
That's storytelling.
What you love. Just getting lost in the imagination.
Yeah.
And
well, you are a writer. You went to
That's what you do.
Yeah, that's what
That's your job.
I just like telling stories, really, and just making everything just make believe. It's a lovely place.
But you have a magical way of looking at life, and I think that that absolutely is what writers need. That sort of, you have obviously a vivid imagination. You planned all the engagements and everything. I love it. You two have got to have your own TV show.
Thank you,
Let's
Gabby.
talk.
Let's do this.
Let's see who I can get you in touch with. Thank you so much.
Thanks,
Thank you
Gabby.
very much. It's been lovely to meet you.
Gabby Roslin Pie.